Welcome back everyone, it's Charlie. This will be my full Monarch Season 2 Episode 2 video. There are a whole bunch of WTF moments, Easter eggs, so we will break it all down. We got a little more information about this new Titan that they're introducing for the series Titan X, but because it's still so early in the season, that also just raised more questions for the series to answer. The episode title was Resonance, which is a reference to the way that the Scarabs communicate with Titan X, the symbiotic relationship they live with. Basically, lesser Titans serving the larger Titan, the way that Godzilla is the king of monsters on the surface world and can command lesser Titans. So the idea during the episode is that Titan X then turns around eventually to save the small Scarab that gets stuck on the Monarch ship. We also spent a lot more time in the flashbacks confirming most of people's theories from episode 1. It's not that much of a mystery box type of show. Like, it's pretty obvious in some of the setups that they provide in episode 1. Like, oh yeah, this place is clearly an altar for Titan X. They're trying to sacrifice to it. It lives in a symbiotic relationship with the people. It is a very intelligent Titan that understands the relationship with the people, that they are trying to worship it and help it, giving it an offering, so it also tries to help the people as well too. Basically trying to show that even though Titan X is meant to be like the big antagonist this season, they don't want it to seem like an overt, like very comic booky type of villain. That was what Keiko was talking about in the flashbacks, where she said the waters around the village were enriched. Like, why are these so enriched? All because of what Titan X was doing. So this is why the people of the village do not think of Titan X as a villain. Kind of the same way the Monsterverse movies have portrayed Godzilla and Kong to different peoples around the world. Some people worship them as gods, as very good characters. Some people hate them as big villains. But the episode starts immediately in the moments at the end of the last episode with Kong giving everyone the stink eye as it chases after Titan X. Like, this is your fault. This is why we can't have nice things, because you free Titans that were supposed to be trapped. As most people guessed at the end of episode 1, Kong isn't able to catch it before it hits the water, and because Kong has not left Skull Island as far as we know before the events of Godzilla King of Monsters, and this takes place a couple years before King of Monsters, the show has to find a way to keep Kong on Skull Island unless they want to break canon or introduce some kind of workaround for that. There's like a little bit of wiggle room that the show could possibly have if they want Kong to potentially leave. Like, Kong could go into Axis Mundi. That wouldn't break the timeline of the movies. All because the movies haven't really dealt with Axis Mundi. The movies are mostly concerned with the Hollow Earth, which is a completely different place. So they can do whatever they want to with Kong inside Axis Mundi, anything they want with Godzilla inside Axis Mundi, and it won't mess with any of the future movies. Shaw references going on military weekend leave, partying too hard when Keiko asks him how his time in Axis Mundi just went. He was only there for a couple of minutes, but time passes differently, so to him it was more like several hours, and there are still many other unknown Titans hiding in there, so it's not like a safe place. And the last time he references going down there, like when he says it wasn't like last time, is when he sacrificed himself just a little while ago to help them escape, thinking that he was going to die. There are actually a couple of those types of moments in this episode where it really does seem like he doesn't care whether he lives or dies, and it's like his penance that he's been serving for letting Keiko fall into Axis Mundi in the past for not being able to save her. They almost make it seem like he kind of wants to die at this point. Playing a little fast and loose with his life, and it's going to continue this season too, I'm sure. He'll be like this for the rest of this season. You can let me know if you think the show is going to let him die by the end of Season 2, or if he'll continue on to Season 3. I think the idea is that they just want to create outs for Kurt Russell if he doesn't want to continue on this particular show, but they actually already confirmed that he is going to star on the Shaw spin-off series, like a Monarch spin-off series set during the events of the Cold War with his son, Wyatt Russell. So we'll see a whole bunch more Shaw during the Cold War era in the flashbacks, and obviously more of older Shaw in present day, but because they can play it fast and loose with how old Kurt Russell is, they could say that he shows up anytime they want. It could be before the events of this series, potentially.
People and how they hurt people,
and the birth,
and then Titan X.
I was going to say the birth of Titan.
But as they dig into in the flashbacks, there's all these feelings between him and Keiko that start come rushing back. Big throuple energy people have been talking about since episode 1 and season 1. So remember, Bill Randa, her second husband, died a long time ago in the present day, now clearing a path for the two of them to be together again. But there's this huge age gap. We will see what they do with that in present day. They then mentioned that the two of them both saw Titan X in the past, which we actually do get in the flashbacks. We get like the rest of what they were setting up in episode 1 when Titan X shows up at the village with the Scarabs. The idea being that they know a little bit more about it than Monarch does in present day, creating a path for them to take over leadership of Monarch in present day. They reveal one of the scarabs, whatever they're calling them. We haven't gotten an official name for the scarabs yet, like a scientific Monarch designation yet, hitched a ride to the ship and is serving Titan X and lives in a symbiotic relationship with it, which eventually does wind up turning around to try and save it, thinking that it is in danger of dying. They use this storyline in present day to parallel with the sacrifice storyline in the village in the past to show Titan X and its relationship with the Scarab army in general. They're like many of them that serve it like it's God. Just the same way that Godzilla is also king of monsters and can tell other lesser titans to do what it wants it to do. We get a real quick flash of Titan X swimming through the ocean in present day against a whale just to show the scale. It is massive, Godzilla size. That's the idea, is that they're going to need both Kong and Godzilla to stop or trap Titan X again back in Axis Mundi. That might be the direction they take this, where they're not able to kill it, but they are able to trap it back in Axis Mundi, because that's also an outcome that protects the timeline of the movies without the show just completely messing with everything, breaking everything with the movies. Really big, dangerous titan that's almost more powerful than Godzilla, potentially. Godzilla needs help with Kong. How do they get around all those problems? Well, they trap it before the events of the next movie. They remind us that now that Verdugo is dead in present day, Tim is the highest ranking Monarch person on the ship, making him in charge, but he is just hilariously outmatched. Like, he's just not prepared for this at all, which I think they're also using to lay some more track work for Keiko to potentially step in and take control of Monarch. They also use some of the Shaw storyline for this too, where they want you to wonder if Shaw is going to take control, but they also make it seem like he is not appropriate either, like he's a bit of a loose cannon, and Keiko is like the voice of reason, like the scientist who needs to be in charge. He also mentions a director, Barris, who's another high-ranking Monarch official who's just somewhere else in the world, who they aren't able to contact now. I think just to create some tension with the potential leadership of Keiko stepping in, because that also would kind of break the timeline of the movies. Like, Keiko is not mentioned in the future movies, so how could she take over Monarch? And because they're still right next to Skull Island, communications are down because of the storm around the island. When Shaw comes back into the control room, they remind you that he used to run Monarch until the military took it away from him, so that's why he starts ordering people around, tried to order Tim around, like, no, we need to follow Titan X, we're going to have another G-Day, and they use that to explain G-Day to Keiko, who's been gone this whole time. Basically the events of the first Godzilla movie, where it completely wrecked the human world. To be fair, Godzilla was going after the Mudos, and humanity was basically just collateral damage. Technically, Godzilla is here to create balance between the Titans and the humans, not just to protect the humans. But at least at this point, Shaw saying there's going to be another G-Day is just implying that Titan X is just going to completely wreck everything, but that also would draw Godzilla's ire, so we will see how long we get, like how deep into the series before Godzilla shows up.
We need Kong. And Godzilla.
There's only so much stuff that Titan X can do to create a bunch of damage before Godzilla would show up to try and stop it. That is basically Godzilla's job. You had one job. We learn a little bit more about the drama between Hiroshi and Shaw in present day, the reason why things are bad between them, and why Hiroshi didn't advocate more for saving him unlike Kate and was more worried about freeing Titan X potentially, or like freeing any kind of Titan, is that he feels like Shaw kind of abandoned him when he was younger and wasn't a great father, as was Bill Randa, also not a great father, so he makes it sound like they kind of abandoned him. Very cats in the cradle, just more interpersonal dynamics, more drama. The series did this a lot during season 1 between all the different characters. The really big wrinkle in that this season, though, is the return of Keiko in present day. Like, mommy is back, grandma is back, but there's also way more three-way energy between the younger characters in present day, just like the characters in the past. And even though Hiroshi isn't mad at his daughter Kate for freeing Shaw, for saving Shaw, he is mad that they released Titan X, which just creates more drama between them. We get our first red shirt kill of the episode when the Scarab that shows up takes out the random Monarch tech. RIP to this guy. He was definitely going to die the minute he showed up on camera. This is mostly to show you how dangerous they are, even though it's tiny, like it's just a single Scarab, it can do this much damage, and there's a giant army of them that show up in the past, and we saw an army of them in present day too on the monitors. They use this first takedown to flash back to the caves in 1957, showing the many Scarabs serving the Titan X like a god as we see them show up at the end of the episode. Bill Randa then uncovers its migratory path, Titan X's path around the world, and creates a reason for him to leave the two of them behind so that they can actually get closer and closer, more three-way energy, like the two of them coming closer together. He mentions the MUDOs again, more references to that first Godzilla movie, but it's actually an acronym that stands for Massive Unidentified Terrestrial Organism, and in this context, he's referring to Titan X, so he's just going to be trying to track it around the world. They also use the whole idea that Bill Randa loves just taking off at the drop of a hat and chasing stuff around the world, chasing Titans around the world, to create the idea that he did this in the past, and that's why he left Hiroshi and was a terrible dad to him, because he was always running off chasing Titans. But part of the idea, you remember, in present day, it had been trapped in Axis Mundi, so they had to explain how it got trapped there, because it's on the surface world back in 1957, so was it Godzilla, was it Kong, was it some other Titan that trapped it down in Axis Mundi? Somehow it got trapped down there. My assumption is that storyline in the past will culminate in them trying to do something similar in trapping it back down in Axis Mundi in present day. That is mostly what they use the flashbacks for, especially during Season 1, to create things that they can use in present day to solve their problems. We go back to present day, and it seems like Tim has taken Shaw off of Monarch's shit list and tries to help him. Basically, they're now on the same team. Like, they're not buddy-buddy yet, but they're not at each other's throats anymore. Shaw also seems like he has no interest in running Monarch either. Like, he basically tries to be the wind beneath Tim's wings. Like, look, dude, greatness is thrust upon you. Just be a leader. Mostly, I think they want Tim to come off as seeming less of a dick than Verdugo was, and on way better terms with the Scooby Gang in general, like all the characters in present day, so it might just be setting him up for more of a leadership role heading forward in the future inside Monarch, working with these people. He is also another character who has not shown up in the movies yet, so they also have to explain why he's often like his own little pocket during the events of the future movies if they don't kill him off. And it didn't make it seem like they're going to kill him off. Like, I do think they want to keep him around of all the characters. Shaw is the one character they really want you to wonder about, though. Also because Kurt Russell probably gets paid way more than the other actors on the show. Like, he's probably pretty expensive for them to have on the show. We get another scene of Kate and Korra getting closer. I think they want them and Kentaro to have their own little throuple vibe like Shaw, Keiko, and Bill did in the past. Like, the three of them are meant to be a parallel for the characters in the past. Shaw then tries to explain to Keiko why he fell out with Monarch in the past after she disappeared, Axis Mundi, and more random things have gotten worse in the world too, the using for comedy, like the enshittification of the world over time. No, you've been gone for a while, but things haven't gotten better, like there's better technology, but generally things have gotten way worse for everyone. This is an actual thing in real life, where like we do have way more advanced gadgets now, but things generally seem like they're getting worse and worse and worse around the world. Please, Godzilla, show up and save us. We get a couple scenes of Shaw and Tim arguing about how to proceed after Titan X, I think mostly to set up Keiko being the voice of reason and taking over command of the group, being a more appropriate leader. She references Bill Randa again and gives them a rousing call to action, reminding them of Monarch's true purpose, being more of an actual leader like you would expect someone to be. We go back to the past and get more alone time with Shaw and Keiko as Bill Randa leaves. She references her first husband. We learn a little bit more about Hiroshi's biological father. He was a good person. She didn't love him in like the traditional type of way, but he was still a very good father to Hiroshi, and he was a doctor in Japan during World War II in Nagasaki who was killed by the cancer that he got from the nuclear fallout from the US's nuclear attack on Japan at the end of the war. This is also meant to be a deep-cut reference to the origin of kaiju movies in Japan, which were born out of the aftermath of World War II and the tragedy that the country experienced. Basically, Godzilla and kaijus in general were meant to be an expression of the way that people felt about nuclear and atomic war. They also use her story to show that she never felt like she could be her true self with her first husband. He didn't make her feel complete in the way that Bill Randa does, and Shaw does as well too. Like, they kind of imply that she feels like she's closer to Shaw and Bill Randa than she was to her first husband. We got a little of this energy between the two of them in Season 1 when they made out before she married Bill Randa, but because they skip across the flashbacks in time, we miss some of the history to explain why she got married to Bill Randa, like why she got closer to him instead of getting closer to Shaw, but they just imply that he slowly pulled away from her, like he didn't really tell her how he truly felt in the flashbacks, probably setting that up in present day before the end of the season when he does tell her that he always loved her. We will see what they do with that storyline in present day because they have that huge age gap between them now, and it seems like he really does want to die. So everybody post all your theories about the two of them in present day right now. Then she starts to feel Titan X and the scarabs approaching. That's what the vibration, the resonance is where the episode gets its title from. The really weird thing about this too is that in present day, Kate also feels the vibrations early on, but not everybody feels them. Like Shaw's standing right next to her in the past, and he's like, I have no idea. I don't detect anything until Titan X is like literally right up on their doorstep. I think the idea is they want to create a connection between Kate and Titan X in present day because there were a couple trailer scenes of her up real close with it and it wasn't trying to kill her. Kind of the same way that other characters in the Monsterverse movies have close relationships with Godzilla or with Kong, like Gia and Kong, for instance. That's another one of those big mystery moments that they're going to reveal in a future episode. So, like, you're not meant to understand that completely right now. Like, you're just meant to get vibes that she has some special connection with Titan X the way that Keiko does in the past. We go back to present day, and Keiko learns about some of the modern Monarch technology. They use their knowledge of Titan X from the past to modify their more advanced technology to try and stop it using sonar technology because it is an aquatic Titan, so they're like using common sense here. Then the rest of the episode, they bounce back and forth between the flashbacks in present day much more frequently, like very quick moments before they flash backwards and forwards. All to confirm what we thought after episode 1 when we saw the town square and that special altar, like, oh, that is probably where they make sacrifices to Titan X, and that is 100% what they use it for.
Okay, I definitely feel that.
We get a little more drama between Keiko and Hiroshi, who still acts like his mother. Like when he was a little child, she references Bill Randa again, and we learn more about Hiroshi's beef with him and with Shaw, that they were not great parents to him when he was growing up. You remember the older John Goodman version of the Bill Randa character during the events of Kong Skull Island. By that point, he became way crazier, way more obsessed. It did not seem like he was a great dad. We get a couple more scenes of Kate then fighting the Scarab to set up Titan X turning around to come to save it after it gives off a big sonar blast, thinking that it's in danger of dying. Basically to confirm the relationship between the Scarabs in Titan X, basically like little children, or treats it like children. We get a couple more exterior scenes of Titan X to show the scale, giving lots of Godzilla vibes swimming through the water with like some of it poking off through the top, Shaw starting to piss it off with the drone, getting it destroyed, also meant to show why he's the wrong person to take over Monarch, but Keiko might be. And also set up the relationship between it and the Scarabs when Korra takes it down, the Scarab down, with the help of Kentaro and Korra. Mostly to show the symbiotic relationship the Titan X has with the Scarabs, if it's either biologically related to them, like they're its literal children, or if it just protects them the way that Godzilla protects other Titans. We go back to the past, to the actual festival of sacrifice to Titan X. They drink some very questionable spike booze. Do not drink any mystery things that are given to you. Tripping balls with everyone else around the altar in the center of town as they witness the actual sacrifice go down, with the townspeople expecting the Titan X will just consume them when it shows up, or the Scarabs will. So RIP, but obviously we know they don't die. This is one of the problems with scenes like this, like you know the characters are going to be back in present day, so like nothing bad's going to happen to them here. They almost have another kiss in the flashbacks, and they flash back to their kiss from season 1 before she got married to Bill Randa. As we go back to present day with Shaw trying to sacrifice himself on the small boat to take the Scarab away, lead Titan X away from the Monarch ship because it's about to rip the ship apart like a tin can. We get that little moment of Kate hearing the resonance, like I explained, basically creating a relationship between it and Titan X that they'll explore, they'll deepen in future episodes. As we go back to the past, seeing Titan X show up with the army of Scarabs at the village, I think the idea is that the army of Scarabs, like the larger body of army of Scarabs, is still trapped down in Axis Mundi, and they don't want it to escape too, because that would truly make Titan X unstoppable. Like if they had this much trouble with one tiny little Scarab, imagine what a massive, massive army would do to them. I think this is also to create the need for them to want to get Godzilla's help, like we need to go find Godzilla and get it to take care of this before it becomes a more serious problem. We also know from the trailers we see Kong fighting Titan X, so they have to create some reason to bring Titan X back to Skull Island, probably because that is a nexus point where there's an entrance to Axis Mundi, and maybe this has something to do with them trying to trap Titan X back down in Axis Mundi, meaning they'd have to open the portal back up again, which Kong would also not like. Like, how dare you try to do this again? We get another real quick moment too in present day where you wonder whether or not Shaw has died. They really want to fake you out again, but he's supposed to be around for the rest of this season. Real question though is, will he survive the end of this season, because we know he's going to be on the Shaw spinoff, but because that's said in the past, that's no guarantee that he survives in the present day of this show. But I think the idea is that on a story level, if Kurt Russell wants to continue on the series, like, yes, I will happily take your money, then they'll create reasons for Shaw to survive into future seasons if they do season 3. Apple seems like they are happy to do more seasons of this show, and it actually seems like it's performing pretty decently for them compared to some of its other shows, so we will see if they continue to do more seasons of Monarch after this.
Everybody died.
The end of the show.
Yeah. Everybody died.
Then they end the episode on the cliffhanger of Titan X showing up in the past with the Scarabs, and I think what we're going to learn in the past is how they dealt with it and got it to back off, because we know that they survived. So it's going to probably be something that they'll have to use in present day to deal with it. The really big reminder is that the flashbacks, again, are meant to provide you with the information that they can use to solve their problems with Titan X in present day. Everybody post all your reactions in the comments below, and if you spotted any Easter eggs or references that I didn't talk about in the video, just write them below in the comments, or if you have more questions about the stuff that they raised in this episode. What I'll do is I'll just wait till next week to see how this video performs, to do week-to-week videos for each episode for the rest of the season, or just like a big season-long video at the end of Season 2. So do be sure to let me know if you want me to do week-to-week videos for episodes. There was a bunch of stuff that just posted. I just did a whole bunch of trailer videos, and there are even more that are coming in the next couple of days, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss anything. Everybody click here for all my Monarch episodes, and click here for my brand new Boys Season 5 trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.